Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is the first time you are joining me. If you have not seen one of these type of videos before, this is a little series that I like to do called Random Rambles, and it is where I randomly ramble about a topic that is on my mind for one reason or another. And it's not too structured, but it's just like a way of me processing out loud some stuff that I'm thinking about. And I do it very deliberately this way to initiate conversation. So I've kind of reached that point in my own processing where I think I've gone as far as I can on a subject by myself. And now I want to hear and discuss with other people their views. Because of that, I go into this knowing that I am probably going to get people who disagree with me and my views here. I'm absolutely fine with that. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments about anything that I say. All I ask is that you do it respectfully and don't be a dick. And yeah, I'm really interested in engaging people in debate and discussion about stuff. These are just my thoughts, they're just my opinions. There's two caveats that I would make, like not caveats but like disclaimers almost, that I would make. One is that nothing that I say is truth. It is just me talking about how I think about a topic, or the opinions that I have of a topic, or where I currently sit in terms of a topic. And the other thing is that I am completely aware that my views may change. I am open to change. That's part of the point of having a discussion in the first place. And so whatever I say now is not the forever full stop of what I'm talking about. It's just this is where I am right now kind of thing. That's a really long-winded disclaimer, but anyway, so I wanted to talk about tarot and whether it is a psychological tool or whether it's a predictive tool. This is a conversation that I haven't seen for a while, but I know has been raised by different people in different ways throughout my time on TarotTube, and has certainly come up in Facebook groups and things in the past. It's not something that's fairly relevant. A lot of the time with the random rambles, they aren't things that are like immediately relevant, because what I tend to do is get inspired about something from something that I've seen, and then it takes me a very long time to think about and, you know, mull over and whatever about that topic, so that I can reach a kind of this is where I am with it right now moment, and then I jump on and I start talking about it. So this isn't something that anyone's talking about right this second, and so this isn't something that's a response to anything that anybody said, or what, you know, any kind of intended VR. This is just me shooting the shit about the thing that was talked about at some point in the past that has been on my mind since. And I guess the very short answer to this for me is not a huge surprise when you understand that I am a Libran, and I'm quite a typical Libran, is that it's not really an either or situation. There does seem to be this assumption that if you use tarot for psychological reasons, you can't also use it for predictive reasons, and that if you acknowledge that tarot is a predictive tool, then you're saying that it can't be used for psychological reasons. And I don't know if anybody's actually saying that out loud, but that does seem to be the impression that I take away from some of the things that I've seen people say and talk about in the past. And I don't think that it ever really is that clear cut, or that anything is ever really that black and white. I think that for me personally, it very much depends on the type of reading that I'm doing. If I'm doing a reading that is about trying to understand, if you can hear that snuffling noise, by the way, the dog is on my knee and he's snuffling away to himself, so I apologise for that, but I've been out this evening, so he's a bit clingy. Sorry. So yeah, if I'm doing a reading for myself that's very much about understanding the situation right now and kind of making sense of my thoughts and ideas and what's going on in the immediate, and there's no kind of like future outcomes, or I'm not trying to figure out where this situation is going or what could possibly happen, or what to expect, then I would say that that's a purely psychological reading, because there's nothing within that reading, within that spread, that is trying to predict any kind of outcome. But if I'm doing a reading that involves any kind of outcome, like what's going to happen in the future, what's the future outcome, what is the end result of XYZ, if the reading's like, if this is what I'm doing now, what's going to happen then, kind of thing, or you're doing like a past, present, future reading or anything like that, then there's the very fact that you have a future outcome in there, or is in and of itself indicative of prediction, because you can't know what's going to happen in the future. You're trying to predict what's going to happen in the future. That's what the reading's doing, right? Although some people would argue, and there is an argument to be made there, that even those kind of outcome-y type like positions, I guess, in a spread are still ultimately a psychological thing, not a predictive thing. But that depends on what your personal beliefs are, I guess. The stumbling block that I have, and the issue that I keep coming back to, is that I in the bigger picture, in the bigger, like just taking it out of tarot and bigger for the moment, I don't know where I stand on the idea in general that the future is something that can be predicted. And I think that, I guess how I view it is based on a snapshot of this moment in time. We can maybe have an idea of what the future might look like, I think, but I ultimately think that what happens to us in the future is, or what happens to us in any given moment, but also in the future, because those moments haven't happened yet, is the result of choices that we make every single moment of our lives. Whether it's a conscious thing or not, we are making choices. We're constantly making choices. We're making choices that are so small we don't even realize that those choices, that they are choices. And we're also making very big choices. But now he's snoring. But we're constantly making choices, right? So I think that what tarot is doing is saying, based on the situation you're in now, the snapshot of this moment in time, and the types of choices that you've made up until this point, if you keep behaving in a predictable way and making the kind of choices that you seem to be making, this is what the outcome is going to be. But for me, that's the whole point of a tarot reading, is to tell me that so that I can decide, is that an outcome I want, or do I need to start making different choices in order to change the outcome of this situation? In which case, I'm not predicting the future, because by understanding what the future outcome could be, I am given the power to change that. And so if that thing then doesn't come to pass, was I predicting the future? And so this is probably the most random ramble I have made in a very long time. And this is where I start to struggle with the idea of predictive readings, because I think it ultimately boils down to, what you believe in terms of how predetermined our futures actually are. Now, I have friends, I know because we've had these discussions, who believe that a large proportion of our futures are predetermined, and that gives them comfort and makes them feel, you know, whatever. That sounded a bit patronizing. They don't just believe that because it gives them comfort, but the fact that they believe that to be the case is also quite comforting. Whereas I think that sounds horrific and terrifying. The idea that our futures are already predetermined makes me think, then what the fuck is the point? Like, what's the point? It doesn't matter what I do. It genuinely doesn't matter what I do, because whatever I do, the outcome is still going to be the same because my future is predetermined. So, like, what's the point in doing anything? And I just can't bring myself to believe that that's true. I think everything that we do matters. Every little thing that we do matters and makes a difference. I don't know if I'm really going off tangent here. I wanted to talk about whether tarot is psychological or predictive, and I've gone on this huge tangent about whether the future is predetermined or not. But I guess for me, that is the point, that it's not that straightforward, in that it's not an either or matter. It's quite possible to do both, depending on what it is that you're going to that reading for in the first place. And B, I guess, because of where I am right now with how I think tarot works in terms of the future cards and the outcome cards, and how I think our futures are determined by our choices, and how having this information can help affect the choices that we make in the future, I think that in and of itself loops us back to ultimately what those readings are doing is a psychological thing and not a predictive thing. So I guess if I was to give the very, very, very short, succinct answer to, are my tarot readings psychological or predictive, I guess right now I would have to come down on the side of, if it has to be an either or, then my readings are psychological, because of this whole underlying level of beliefs that I have about how the future works. Does this make any sense? I'm not sure. And I am really, really, really keen to hear what other people think and what other people have to say, because I feel like I'm kind of at a stage where maybe I've figured it out for myself, but maybe there's something I'm not considering or I'm not seeing. So I would love to hear other people's views. If this made any sense to you at all and you have any thoughts about it, please do leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Even if your comment is to tell me that you think that I'm talking rubbish, that's fair. That's a fair assessment of this video at this point, but I would love to hear from you anyway. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop now. So take care, everyone. Lots of love, and I will see you all shortly. Bye.